You ever have those moments where you just kind of stop and think, wait, am I actually allowed to be doing this right now? Like, you're not doing anything wrong, nothing illegal is happening, but you still get that weird, jittery feeling. It's like you've accidentally crossed some invisible line that nobody ever bothered to tell you about. The funny thing is, these moments are totally normal. Millions of people go through them every day. But for some reason, they still feel like you're getting away with a crime. Take, for example, when new parents finally bring their baby home from the hospital. Think about it. For months, you've been surrounded by doctors, nurses, and machines. You've had constant checkups and people telling you exactly what to do. Then suddenly, the hospital staff just smiles and says, "All right, you're good to go." And just like that, you're walking out the door with a tiny human being that you're now 100% responsible for. If it's your first kid, it feels kind of unbelievable. You're almost waiting for someone to chase you down the hallway. Like they'll suddenly say, "Whoa, wait a second, we forgot to give you the test first." But they don't, the whole system just trusts that you'll figure it out, which is honestly both empowering and absolutely terrifying. Another one that always feels way more awkward than it should be is asking someone to pay you back. Logically, it makes total sense. You helped a friend when they were short on cash, and they said they'd pay you back. Simple, right? But when it's actually time to bring it up, things suddenly get really weird. People start softening their voices, apologizing for even asking, trying to be as gentle as possible, like they're the ones doing something wrong. In reality, you're just asking for your own money back. But socially, it feels like you're breaking some unspoken rule of politeness. Then you've got the whole situation with wheelchairs that people misunderstand. A lot of people assume that if someone's in a wheelchair, they can't walk at all. But that's not really how it works for everyone. Some people use them because of chronic pain or heart conditions. Maybe they have injuries that make walking long distances impossible, so the wheelchair simply helps them manage their energy. When someone in a wheelchair suddenly stands up or takes a few steps, it can really throw people off. Some even assume the person must be faking it, but mobility isn't always black and white. For many people, a wheelchair is just a tool to reduce pain. Standing up doesn't mean their situation isn't real. And don't even get me started on talking about your salary with coworkers. Most offices treat pay like it's some top secret government file. People lower their voices or avoid the topic completely. Some even think it's against the rules. But in many places like the US, you actually have a legal right to discuss your salary. It can even help people figure out if they're being paid fairly, yet the culture around it is so hush-hush it feels rebellious. Then there's the classic. Calling in sick when you're actually sick sounds simple, right? You wake up feeling terrible, your body needs rest, so you decide to stay home. That's literally what sick days are for, but most people still feel guilty making that call. You start rehearsing what you'll say, trying to sound sick enough on the phone, just so your boss doesn't think you're faking it, even though you're just following the rules. These little moments really show how much we overthink things. Sometimes the rules in our heads are stricter than the real ones. Our brains love creating invisible boundaries that make perfectly normal things feel suspicious. And honestly, these are just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many everyday situations like this. Think about being in a store. You walk in and browse around for a few minutes. Maybe you check a few price tags, look at a couple of shelves, and then you just leave without buying anything, which is totally normal. That's literally what browsing means, but somehow it still feels shady. As you walk toward the exit, you might avoid eye contact with the cashier, almost like you're silently trying to prove that you didn't steal anything. Nobody expects you to buy something every time you enter a store, but walking out empty-handed still feels like a getaway. It's the same vibe as when you're driving and a cop pulls up next to you. You start double-checking your speedometer, sitting up straighter, and becoming hyper aware of every single blinker you use. You're not doing anything illegal, but the mere presence of a police car makes everything feel incredibly tense. Then there are those social spots where totally harmless stuff feels weird because of how people might look at you. Like, imagine a guy taking his niece or nephew to a kid's show or the park. It's just family time, totally normal and sweet. But sometimes people can be judgmental or give weird looks, which creates this awkward vibe that shouldn't even be there. But social assumptions can make a totally innocent moment feel out of place. Or how about at a restaurant? You walk in, sit down, look at the menu, and then realize the prices are insane or nothing looks good. So you decide to leave. But standing up and walking back out, it's so awkward. People will literally make up excuses or apologize to the host on the way out, even though you don't owe them anything. It even happens at the barber. You're sitting in the chair, they finish up, and they hold up that little mirror and ask, "How's it look?" This is the moment to be honest, right? It's your hair and you're paying for it. But most of us just can't do it. Even if it's a total hack job, we usually just nod, smile, and say, "Looks great, thanks." Speaking up feels weirdly uncomfortable. And finally, the grocery store bag dilemma. You walk in with your own reusable bags, maybe from a completely different store you went to months ago. As you put them in your cart, you get that tiny thought, wait, is this okay? Of course it is. Stores want you to use reusable bags. It doesn't matter if the logo doesn't match the store you're in, but some people still feel a bit weird about it. When you look at all these things, it's pretty clear that a lot of the rules we live by aren't actually real. They're just social habits or little anxieties we've picked up over time. Eventually, those feelings get so strong that doing something totally normal starts feeling wrong. You know, that weird tension at work when everyone's actually having a good time. Maybe things are chill, people are laughing or telling stories, and the vibe is just great. Then the boss walks in. It's crazy how fast things change. People stop talking mid-sentence, chairs start rolling back to desks, and suddenly everyone is staring at their screen like they're about to discover a cure for something. Nobody was even doing anything wrong. Taking a 5-minute break is normal. But that scramble to look busy makes it feel like you were all caught doing something terrible. You're standing there and you've got that split-second choice to make. Technically, using the other one isn't a crime, especially if it's an emergency. You're moving fast, hoping nobody sees you, feeling like you're sneaking into a restricted area. It makes sense why you're doing it, but it still feels like you're breaking some deep law of the universe. And lastly, let's talk about card counting. It's just a strategy where you keep track of the cards in your head to help your odds. If they even think you're doing it, you'll have security breathing down your neck or get kicked out immediately. You haven't broken a single law. Life is just full of stuff that feels illegal. Even when it's perfectly fine,